Assalamualaikum everyone, this is me Mariam and also known as Mariam Data Science Valley student at Rehan School in Online Academy Level 1. So today we are having a new topic of AI session and our topic name is Will Human Memory Decline because of smartphones? So let's start it without wasting time. We can start our interview.
Yo, what's been good with you lately?
Okay, Maya. So today our topic is will human memory decline because of smartphones? So my first question is what's the main purpose behind will human memory decline because of smartphone? Give me a long and detailed explanation with some steps and strategies and some real long examples.
Okay, a big question. So, the worry isn't that smartphones are directly damaging our brains. It's more about how we're changing our relationship with memory itself. The main purpose behind the concern is that we're offloading cognitive tasks, like remembering things, onto these devices. Essentially, we're becoming reliant on external storage instead of strengthening our internal ones. Here's a breakdown with steps and strategies as US1. The cognitive offloading effect. This is the core issue. Smartphones make it incredibly easy to avoid actively remembering information. Why bother memorizing a phone number when your phone does it for you? Each time we do this, we reduce the effort our brains put into consolidating memories. 2. Reduce neural pathways. Memory isn't just about storage, it's about building and reinforcing neural pathways. Repeated recall strengthens these pathways. When we constantly rely on external memory aids, those pathways don't get the workout they need. 3. Attention and distraction. Smartphones are designed to be attention grabbing. Constant notifications and the allure of endless scrolling fragment our attention. This makes it harder to encode memories in the first place because encoding requires focused attention. The Google effect, or digital amnesia, research shows people are less likely to remember information they know they can easily find online. It's like, why bother remembering X when I can just Google it? It's not that we forget innately, but the memory feels less accessible. Now, strategies to combat this, and it's not about ditching your phone, but using it mindfully, intentional recall, actively try to remember things without immediately reaching for your phone. For example, after a meeting, spend a few minutes mentally rehearsing the key takeaways. 2, space repetition review information at increasing intervals. This strengthens memory over time. There are apps for this, ironically, but the point is deliberate practice. 3, limit distractions. Schedule dedicated phone-free time each day. This allows your brain to focus and consolidate memories without interruption. 4, active note taking. Instead of typing notes, try handwriting them. Studies show handwriting enhances memory encoding. 5, mindful use. Be aware of when you're offloading memory unnecessarily. Challenge yourself to remember things even if it's inconvenient. Readings. A student relying solely on their phone. Oh, gotcha. Too much? Okay. Is everything all right? You sound a little stressed. Want to tell me what's going on?
So my next question is how have smartphones changed the way people store and recall information, and do these changes suggest a long-term decline in human memory or simplify an evolution in how we use our brains?
Right, back to the original topic. Okay. So, okay. That's a thing. All right. So, how smartphones have changed information storage. It's pretty massive. Before, we relied on internal memory, written notes, and physical records. Now it's all digital, photos, videos, notes, contacts. Everything lives on a device or in the cloud. This has led to a shift from remembering where to find information to simply knowing that it exists somewhere digital. As for whether this signals a decline or evolution, it's complicated. I lean towards evolution. Our brains are incredibly adaptable. We're not necessarily losing the ability to memorize. We're reallocating cognitive resources. Think about it, before smartphones, people spent a lot of brain power navigating geographically. Now we outsource that to GPS. That doesn't mean our spatial reasoning skills disappeared. They just manifest differently. But there's a downside. Relying too heavily on external storage can lead to a sort of cognitive laziness and a potential weakening of certain memory functions. It's less about use it or lose it and more about use different parts of it. We're optimizing for access to information rather than rote memorization. That's a trade-off, not necessarily a decline. What do you think? Does that jive with what you're feeling?
About that. To what extent do smartphones and constant access to the network reduce our ability to memorize facts, directions, or phone numbers, and what are the possible consequences for future generations? Give a long with detailed explanation with some strategies, some steps, and some fun with some long real examples in 5 to 6 minutes.
Good follow-up. Okay, so the extent to which smartphones reduce our ability to memorize facts, directions, or phone numbers is pretty significant, actually. Studies show a demonstrable decrease in people's ability to recall this type of information compared to pre-smartphone generations. It's not that our brains are incapable, but we simply don't practice those skills as much. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies. We now prioritize knowing how to find information quickly, not holding the information in our heads. As for consequences for future generations, that's where it gets interesting. A few possibilities. 1. Reduce cognitive reserve. Cognitive reserve is essentially the brain's ability to resist damage. Strong memory skills contribute to cognitive reserve. If future generations rely even more heavily on external memory aids, their cognitive reserve might be diminished, potentially making them more vulnerable to later in life. 2. Shifting skill sets. Future generations might excel at information curation and synthesis, rapidly finding and evaluating information, but struggle with deep recall. This isn't necessarily bad, but it changes the landscape of cognitive skills. 3. Increased dependence. Greater reliance on technology could lead to increased anxiety or helplessness if that technology fails or becomes unavailable. 4. A reevaluation of intelligence. Our definition of intelligence might shift to prioritize skills like critical thinking, problem solving, and adaptability over rote memorization. However, the concern is that weakening basic memory functions could hinder these higher level cognitive skills. It's less about becoming dumber and more about becoming cognitively different. It's a bit unsettling to think about, honestly. What are your thoughts on that? Everything all right? Okay.
How does the overuse of smartphones affect the brain cognitive functions such as attention span, short-term memory, and problem solving, and what can be done to minimize negative effects? So, give me a real example with long, detailed explanation with some steps and strategies.
All right, shifting gears a bit. Okay, so how smartphones impact cognitive function, attention, short-term memory, problem solving is a multifaceted issue. The constant stream of notifications, the endless scrolling, and the multitasking encouraged by smartphones fragment our attention. This makes it harder to focus deeply on a single task, reducing our attention span. It's like trying to read a book while someone keeps poking you. Short-term memory suffers because our brains are constantly being bombarded with new information, making it difficult to consolidate and retain anything. Problem solving also gets affected. Relying on smartphones for quick answers discourages us from engaging in the mental effort required to solve problems independently. The brain essentially learns to take the easy way out. Now, here's a detailed example, steps, and strategies to minimize these effects. Let's talk about a student preparing for a challenging exam. Example, Sarah, a high school student, is trying to study for her physics exam. She has her phone nearby, and every few minutes she checks it for notifications, texts, and social media updates. She finds herself rereading the same paragraphs in her textbook multiple times, struggling to grasp the concepts. She feels overwhelmed and anxious, and her study sessions are unproductive. Steps and strategies 1. Time blocking and focus study sessions. Sarah should schedule dedicated study, say, 45-minute chunks where she completely disconnects from her phone. She can use apps to block distracting websites and notifications. During these blocks, she focuses solely on the physics material, the Pomodoro technique. This involves working in focused 25-minute intervals, followed by a 5-minute break. During the break, she's allowed to check her phone, but only for a limited time. This helps to prevent mental fatigue and maintain focus. 3. Active recon spaced repetition. Instead of passive reading a textbook, Sarah should actively test herself on the material. She can use flashcards, practice problems, or try to explain the concepts to someone else. Spaced repetition, reviewing the material at increasing intervals to strengthen memory. Mindfulness and meditation. Practicing mindfulness techniques such as meditation can help Sarah train her attention and reduce distractions. Even a few minutes of daily meditation can significantly improve focus and concentration. Digital detox. Sarah should schedule regular digital detoxes, periods of time where she completely